What are you seeing in the FX market? Because I'm mesmerized by the chart of the euro right now.
I will tell you, I'm looking for you to share your wisdom on here. And let me tell you why. Because, yeah, I'm a technician. But, you know, I'm not deaf to everything that's going on in the world, right? I mean, I still live here on this planet. And so I'm looking and going, we've got a Fed that just is into QE infinity. I mean, the word infinity has now been adjusted by the U.S. Fed. I mean, they're throwing everything on here. So part of me goes, wow, that has to lead me to a bias that the U.S. dollar could get really clobbered. And I tried my hands here in the last week or so with the long side of the euro, the euro FX. I got run out on stops for a break-even trade today. But the kind of behind the scenes, I'm thinking, wow, this can't be constructive for the dollar for the Fed to just flood the globe with greenbacks. But then I look at the euro chart and I go, we ever get under 105? 80 cents, here we come. And so in the back of my mind, I'm aware of the fact that the 50-year trend line in the euro currency. Now people will say, well, the euro hasn't been around for 50 years. How do you get that? Well, you get that because prior to the euro, you can put together a trade-weighted basket of the old European currencies, and you know, which become a proxy for the euro. And so you track that back into the 70s. We have a 50-year trend line that is held on a number of occasions in the euro currency. Well, we've tested that hard here this year. We take out 105 in the euro currency, and boy, that's all she wrote. Then I really have to turn and say, I don't know the story behind the dollar, but I have to be bullish on the dollar.
You see, I hear the narrative of the Fed printing. I hear it. I see the Fed doing stuff. I look at the charts, and I look at the charts of stuff like the euro, which seems like it's forming this huge and powerful triangle. Whichever way it breaks is going to be a massive move. Because of the 50-year trend line, that would be a spectacularly powerful move should it move lower.
It's one I don't want to miss, let me tell you that.
So I'm looking at that and hearing the narrative, and I love it when the narrative is the opposite to what the charts are telling me. You know, I look at corrective price action in other currencies. Have you ever looked at, you can't trade it, but I don't know if you ever looked at the ADXY. It's the Asian currency. And that has got this massive multi-year, multi-decade head and shoulders top. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and it makes me go, same thing. I look at that and I look at those commodity charts. I look at the head and shoulders in the S&P and I look at that euro chart and I'm like, this looks like it's got a massive dollar rally and a debt deflation written all over it. And you know, if everybody in a debt deflation owes dollars, that's why the dollar goes up, simply. And you can print as many as you want, but nobody's got the cash flow to pay it back.
It's just a good old-fashioned short squeeze, right? Is really what you have. Is you got the entire world's commerce system is in a short dollar position, and you get the entire global economic system short dollars, and all of a sudden you hit some key chart points, and certain things happen on the fundamental side on what's going on in the world, and you've got to scramble to cover short dollar positions.
So I'm going to ask you a really hard question because nobody can get this one right. What is the longer term chart of dollar yen to you? Up or down?
Confusing because it's a triangle, and I hate triangles.
Yeah.
Raoul, we've talked about that. I tend to like patterns when the breakout of a pattern really is through a horizontal line. Diagonal lines tend to give you fake false starts, tends to give you a further morphine. It'll fake you out. And so I'm confused on the yen. The yen chart has absolutely been a nightmare to me for a long time, but I do see the coil. The yen is coiling up. Boy, I'll tell you, it's the old analogy of you take a beach ball and you push it down under the water and you try to hold it there, and you hold it there and you hold it there. Sooner or later, that thing's going up.
And so I look at this and I look at that euro chart and I look at that ADXY chart, and I look at the commodities chart, and I'm like, dollar yen could go to 200, which is what, again, it's the opposite of everybody's narrative. Now, I could be dead wrong. I could be building a false narrative myself, but I just look at it because of that coiling pattern and the fact that it hit low a while ago. It looks like it's building strength for dollar yen to go higher.
Oh, well, I think you're right. I mean, we take out this year's existing high in a dollar yen. You want to place your bets on a currency that's got a lot of green ink, and that's the U.S. dollar. But we continue to coil, and as you know, sometimes coils can be very difficult. You can do all kinds of weird things in coils. You can kind of have false breakouts and do what the old chart masters called an end around or an end run. You can do all kinds of sneaky things. So in terms of dollar yen, I'd rather just kind of sit back and wait and say, okay, let's declare yourself, and I'll try to make sense of it. But in the meanwhile, there's certain places where I definitely want to be, long dollar. For instance, again, the Mexican peso. A Mexican peso looks to me that no matter what the dollar is going to do, peso looks like it's going to go down. The dollar is going to gain on the peso, as it has really for the last throughout history. So yen, I want to kind of wait. I want to kind of keep my eye on it. It's been in this coil. It's done nothing really for the last 5-6 years. But my eye is really on the euro currency. That's the chart I want to look at. That 105 level is going to be key.
The other two charts that we're asking FX land before we move on to fixed income is, the long-term chart of dollar Brazil is spectacular.
Oh, and there's a futures contract there. That's what I love about it. You put me in the world where I've got a futures contract to trade, and that's marvelous. And so, yeah, and that was a really clean breakout. And a lot of people were scared of the breakout there because they're looking at the negative carry of the trade, right? They're looking at the big interest rates down in Brazil, so they're short Brazil. And now they're long dollars, so they got to pay the differential, the interest rate differential. But when you get a currency to move like that, I don't care what the interest rate differential is, you're going to make money on it. And so, I look at that and I just think that, that's a market that's going to go a very long way. And I'll tell you the price level I think that we go down. And of course, this is, I think we go down where the real gets back to 10 cents, 15 cents, something like that. So I think that's where we're going. This is a big trend. Now, it's late in the game. We've come a long way. We're at 19. We were at 25 not very long ago. But nevertheless, I do not want to own, have money sitting in Brazil.
What about the RMB?
I think same thing. The same thing with India. You just really want to own the dollar. You want to own the dollar in those particular currencies, which really comes back to the fact that, I'm split somewhat, as I think you acknowledged, in terms of the dollar index, in terms of the euro. But there are certain currencies where it's a no-brainer, and that is being long dollar against peso, against Brazil, against South Africa. Those are plays that make sense. And so, as a trader, I always am thinking, if I'm going to be long the dollar, I want to be long the dollar against the weakest currency there is. If I want to be long metals, I want to be long the strongest metal. I don't want to play catch up. I don't want to think, well, gold has had a big move, but silver hasn't had a big move, so I'll buy silver. No, I want to be long where the strength is. And so there's already some currencies where the dollar is in a very strong trend. So that's really where I want to be.